So suddenly something must be done before we reach that date in 2027.
Yeah, you see, the problem at IEBC, I'll put it simply, it's leadership and integrity. That is it, because when you talk about political interference, it falls under that. It talks about your integrity. When you talk about, the headline is impunity and unilaterally deciding things courtesy of Chebukati.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. It talks about your leadership, if that is at all true. So at the end of the day, we need to raise the leadership and integrity threshold in this country so that one can be, so that you're not swayed, you know, into political gimmicks by political interest, you know, so that we actually realize the independence that was envisioned when we called it the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Because there's no point of having that word independent there if there's a puppet master somewhere at the end of the day. We need, you see, there are those who still don't believe in IEBC after these elections. And so we have to come up with a new IEBC. At the end of the day, courtesy of, you see, we are seeing Chebukati is going home and the other two. And then we see there are petitions in Parliament. We are waiting to see what the members of Parliament do. If at all it gets to a point where everybody is sent home courtesy of the legal process, then the IEBC that we have needs to gain confidence from the people. And as Javas just said, you know, being a religious leader doesn't mean you become a saint. You know, we shouldn't be looking into only your religious leader or look at the political interest. The leadership and integrity actually matters the most, so that whatever you declare after the elections is actually believable. The process is actually open, it's actually fair, it's actually credible at the end of the day, so that we can actually say, you know, this election is, we're sure there's no election which would be contested in this world, courtesy of, you know, we always have a winner and a loser. But the threshold of the results that you actually release need to be seen to be believable at the end of the day. People need to look at this commission and say, you know, they gain confidence in it. Because when they lose confidence, whatever you do, people always say, you know what, there's someone somewhere who cooked those figures and you're just given to read. So at the end of the day, we really come from a place where Chapter 6 of the Constitution has never been realized in this country. It's there, but it has not been breathed into life. And the moment we do that, then we'll be able to move as a country. Because those who are sent to these offices will actually realize that you're actually serving the interests of the people and you use taxpayers' money. And if you misuse the taxpayers' money, you also have to come to a point where you actually, a legal remedy is gotten against you, because if you misuse what is seen as taxpayers' money, you need to be surcharged. So at the end of the day, we work on our leadership and integrity so that we can actually be able to, not just IEBC, all the other commissions, even Parliament, because they should never be seen as a conveyor belt. And they should never only be seen to propel what the government wants. If whatever the government wants and is against the people, as a representative of the people, you tell the government no, irrespective of whether you're in government or purported you're in opposition. Because for me, I see if you're a member of Parliament, you still do oversight over the same government, even if you're in that government. So at the end of the day, we need to look at Chapter 6 wholly. It is there, we have abundance of laws, but the problem is implementation of these laws.
Yes. Jarvis, you had a point.
Additionally, quite a quick thought on my part is that, is there a cryptic scheme to hinder political rights and participation on the part of some, as well as lead us into some kind of political minefield? Now, with this attempt to remove all these commissioners, when you consider all the 7 petitions, question is, can and will the IEBC, if at all they are successful, operate without commissioners? The Constitution does not contemplate an IEBC operating without commissioners. Remember that as we are speaking right now, there are by-elections that have been organized that are for December. There are a number of election petitions in the courts, and some of them, upon being successful, an election, a by-election or various by-elections will be conducted at the beginning of the year. Remember that all these petitions to do with the elections must be concluded within 6 months of the election. Now, issue is this: if at all there's all this creative interference with the commission, are we trying to forestall, are some politicians trying to forestall the operations and ground the operations of this commission, and in fact put into place the serious credibility of this commission by having no commissioners, having no clear authority to run and conduct affairs as provided for in law? And so I think given that the Constitution provides that sovereign power belongs to the people, and such power is executed directly or indirectly through elected representatives. Now, through Parliament, these elected representatives have an opportunity to make sense of all these attempted approaches to remove commissioners, some of them for maybe very flimsy or naive reasons.
Interesting. Mheshimiwa has certainly been listening to those proposals. Very
he had made some serious remarks before.
Right.
For example, when he said about the chairman and the vice chair, you know, the qualification of the chairman and the vice chair should be the same.
Right.
For the moment, because when in the absence of the chairman, you know, the vice chair takes over.
Right.
But the qualifications for the chair and the vice chair, they tend to
There's
differ.
only a gap over there.
There is a serious gap around it.
Right.
So I think it is something we are not yet out of the hook, I would say so. But I think we need also to have this honest conversation and agree. Because we have a lot of time to prepare for 2027 election, general election. And we don't want it to be opaque like the 2022 general election. So we really need to look at the commissioners and even the judgment of the Supreme Court and how they say that we need to look at the responsibilities and the duties of the chair versus all the commissioners, because according to the Supreme Court ruling, it seems like the commissioners, their work is just to rubber stamp whatever the chair is saying. So I think it's an honest conversation that we are supposed to have. If we need to amend the law, then this is the best time for us to do that, because the only election that is a bit controversial is the presidential general election. But when it comes to these other elections, we don't have a lot of heated debate, surrounding it. So I think for us to be able to make sure that the IEBC is fully equipped, the laws is in place, we have the right chairman, we have the right vice chair. And as my friend Korigia is saying, that also we need also to make sure that in terms of leadership and integrity, it has been adhered to. And therefore we make sure that all the readers all the commissioners who are going to be appointed, they have been given enough time to study the IEBC, to come up with any anything that they need to for the purposes of making sure that 2027 general election has been conducted in free and fair and credible manner.